Hi, and welcome back. My name is Antonio Seri from CRRNTN.com. Continuing the series Hollywood movie title, today we realize the Mission Impossible 4 animation. The first part will be in Cinema 4D. We will make the logo, and the letters animation a random dynamic movement. We will continue in After Effects, the overall composition with all graphic elements that characterize this particular animation, but also try to explain how to make this fantastic ghost protocol effect, that we see both on the logo and the slogan. Open the file Start on Cinema 4D. As we can see, I have organized the files in order to be ready for the tutorial. We have two groups of layers, the logo and slogan. I extracted all the letters of our logo's Mission Impossible 4, using as reference one image of the last frame of original video. For the vector drawing, I used the 2D drawing tools. Who does not know how to use these tools, can proceed directly using the Start file, that you find inside the project folder. It's also possible to use a font. The most suitable are the Compacta. Another suitable font is Heroic Condensed. Finally, the Lighter Condensed. Obviously with the style italic. Within the file Start, you will have the camera centered with our scene, to -1920 in the Z position. And also the reference axis. OK, our first step will be the insertion of the instrument Extrude NURBS, to hierarchical mode active. The letters of the logo have a depth of 180. The fillet cap, with steps 5 and radius 2. For the slogan letters, we have a step 3, and radius 0.2, with the check constraint active. The depth is 0.2, to create a essential surface to be mapped, because during the animation sequence, the slogan will be revealed, then, with the Ghost Protocol effect, in After Effects. The second step sees the lighting system. The global light system was used for the project Prince of Persia, because in many respects, the settings are very similar. The only difference is that we have a light area type, positioned frontally on the logo, which has the purpose of illuminating in a brilliant way all the letters during the first part of the animation sequence. Between the 0 and 8 frame, with an intensity which starts from 200 to 0. Understand well the purpose of all this later. View the result. Follow on video the parameters for the coordinates settings of position and intensity. View the result. Is good for me. All Omni lights are in Shadows Maps mode. Very importantly, with the same principle, also the 3 Omni lights have an interpolation of animation from 0 frame to 8 frame. All the intensity values, starting from twice the value set. In this way we give an effect almost exclusively white and black on all facets of the letters. Perfect. On the third step, we proceed with the materials. As I mentioned earlier, the lights and also the materials was used on the movie title tutorial, Prince of Persia, with some modifications to get the final just result. If you want to see how they are made, you can see the tutorial. You will remember also the sphere sky, with the gradient map, to create the reflection of the Chrome logo. Okay, we apply the materials. If you don't want to see the old tutorial, don't worry, you can find them in the project file folder, Lights and Materials. View a first impact. Okay, now we analyze in detail the modifications to adapt them. Chrome material is applied as the basis of the letters, was off the bump, and on environment, the gradient has this arrangement of colors. This material creates a Chrome Type 2D soft gradient on all the letters. The specular, to metal, has set these values. So we have the basis chrome in the bevel material only on the bevels. This is a simple light gray base material, with a Fresnel texture, applied to reflection. Specular is base default. As you all know, we can make it active only on the bevel writing R1 of selection. It's also applied on the bevel back with R2. To complete the logo, we have a black material, set to luminance. We need the cap front and back, writing C1 and C2 on selection. For the slogan text, we have assigned a material with a gradient of luminance. Here is the arrangement of the color. In this way the slogan does not have a matte impact in our sequence. Finally, the material of the sky map. Now before proceeding with the animation parameters, we need to change the document settings panel. Even in this tutorial as to Sherlock Holmes, to get a better result of lights and materials, we modify the color from gray-blue to 80 gray, disable the linear workflow, and disable also the color profile. View the result. Much better. Let me show you what is involved as a result of changing these parameters. Before and after. We have a darker gamma and engraved. This brings out the internal shadows best. The chrome material is definitely more intense. You can still experiment with other settings of chrome materials and lights, to get the result as you like best. We proceed with the fourth step, the animation. The dynamics is very fast, 8 frames of duration, given that the entire sequence takes about 90 frames. I make you see better, frame by frame. It must be said, that the letters animation, is accompanied by the camera and lights. The technique used is that of Inception V2, where the letters move along the Z position. I separated the letters M, I, M, O, and Ish and PS Sybil within random animation. The slogan has no animation, but will be revealed later, with the zoom and movement of the camera. Okay, we do a little refresher. The letters MIMO are inserted into a fracture. That, thanks to the random effector, gives the start to the animation. In this case the fracture is set to straight. We have only 3 keyframes on the random effector: 0, 2 and 8. Between 0 and 2 frames, we have these values. As in the original video, the letters are already present as early as 1 frame, creating the illusion that the letters go into the camera, but from 2 to 8 frame, with Z, 950, and rotation P-360, the letters lets back to create the logo. Obviously, the slider that controls everything is the strength, from 100 to 0. This moving is strategic. First, because it does not reveal the type of animation. Second, because it creates an optical interference that makes the whole animation more interesting. Try this technique with a sequence with normal speed, you'll better understand what I'm saying. Same goes for the second group of letters that make up the logo with a tween from 0 frame to 8 frame. With Z position at about 5000 and rotation P, always, -360. The union of the two groups is very cool. During the dynamic motion of the letters, the camera start to 0 frame, to Z position, -1210. In frame 8, is -1920. Finally, in 90 frame, arrives at -1800. As in the original movie, during the sequence, the depth of the extrude NURBS has different values. From 0 to 7 frame we have the value 33. But when all letters are arranged in their final position goes directly to 180. I show you in detail. We complete the animation with the change of light intensity and Z movement for accompanying the letters. Follow on video the keyframes setting. Very simple to understand. As mentioned, the slogan will be processed in After Effects. As I already said, this will make the first letters with sharp colors, black and white, then when we get to the 8 frame, we see the true gradient chrome material revealed. Very cool. The movement of the group of lights is Z position from 0 frame, -150. 3 frame, -550. Finally in the 8 frame, to 0. This is the movement of all elements, we can see them well, in right view. This is the aerial view. We can also see the movement of the camera. No, impossible. Incredible. For those who have not seen the Inception V2 tutorial, I show you quickly how to make this animation in a few steps. Follow me. We start with all the spline of the letters have already been drawn. You can also use a whole text object. We apply the extrude tool with hierarchical active. Now, insert the fracture instrument. It can be straight mode or explode segments and connect. Insert the random effector tool. To make it active on fracture, go to the panel effectors, and drag him inside. Finally drag extrude layer into fracture. That's it. Now just go on a random parameter panel, to give the movement that interests us. In this case only on position Z, with 500, and a value of rotation P that we desire. The trick to obtain only the movement of the front position Z. Is set on the hidden panel min/max, the value of a maximum from 100 to 0. Wow, I love it! Finally, if you want to obtain as a Mission Impossible 4 animation style, just press the C key on extrude layer, to get all the separate letters. And decide which letters to insert and apply the same technique, but with other parameters of a new random effector. Have fun! Okay, now proceed with the separate renders. First just the logo. And after, the slogan. We set the render settings panel, with the final size, 1920 and 800, all frames. Active alpha channel. And any aliasing on best. These videos are rendered separately. Proceed with the tutorial, with After Effects. As we can see, the project is structured for groups, to achieve various overlapping grids effects on the background, and on the logo. Compared to other styles of animation that we have already discussed, here we have many hidden details. To simplify the explanation, we will analyze it in several steps, starting from the background. Opacity 23. For the base, we have the logo with 192 scale. View the end result of the sequence animation. Were applied two animated masks, an oval to soften the outer edges, and a rectangular to soften the base of the logo. This layer was set to track matte on alpha invert, on a solid layer, with applied and grid effect. The effect of the grid is black color, and has a border, 3. In this case, has been set in a corner point, with 949 and 396, to obtain a grid of rectangular type. I make you see better. The track matte puts the grid only inside the logo. Very nice. You can also add a texture of wavy lines. To achieve this texture, I applied to a group of horizontal line mask, the stroke effect. With black color, and brush size, 2. To make them undulating, just enter warp wave effect, with these parameters. Very simple. With wave speed, -1. This can make it animated with a slight movement from right to left. The layer is at 50% opacity. Finally, to make the letters more incisive, I applied an exposure with 1.7 and 0.8. For the second step, we proceed with the logo in the foreground. With the same method of track matte, but on Luma inverted, it was attached a grid of square type. Type, width and height with a value of 22. The border is 3, and the color is gray. Unlike the first grid with an interpolation of opacity, which is dissolved between frames 8 and 13. Then, the square grid is present only in the first part of the sequence. Can be applied also in this case an exposure effect on the logo, to obtain a more brilliant chrome gradient. Now let's get a ghost protocol effect. What we see is the end result, which is revealed by the passage of the masks. As in the original video, there are 2 steps for the detection masks, and are also very fast. I show you how to work the 2 mask sequences. Cool. I love it. Okay, I'll explain how it works and how it is made. In this case, I'll show you just a change of masks. First of all, the layer with the effect and the masks must have a somewhat larger scale, and must be disposed above the original logo. The basis of the effect is a fractal noise. In block mode with contrast to 140. The scale 34, for the right size of the squares in this logo. The complexity is 1, for have the squares cleaned. Finally, an interpolation of evolution from 0 to 90, to give movement to the base. The next step is to make it pre-compose layer, with a track matte on Luma inverted. So we give the logo, the texture of the squares in an interesting way. In pre-compose texture layer, is added to a card dance effect, with rows and columns to 283. and setting Z position on red 1, with a multiplier of 0.1, and offset to -5. We get a movement that makes the texture a 3D impact. Finally, we have already seen the sequences of masks complete the final result. Just fabulous. The same technique is applied on the slogan text, the only difference is that it was given only the card dance. These values. This makes the text more interesting. This is the result of the card dance effect. Very important. To reveal the displacement of the Ghost Protocol effect, only inside the ring of animated masks. The first mask, the inner one, must be subtract, while the outside mask, unintersect. Obviously, in this case, the duplicate layer below has only the same internal mask in add mode. To reveal the logo from the inside outwards. All masks in this project have a feather value to 75, to smooth the edges. You can enter the value as you like. The final step sees the lens flare, for which I have used the optical flares, extremely fast and great. Appears when the logo is positioned at the 8th frame on the inner edge of the M letter. And during the sequence it moves towards the outside with a flickering speed at 45, and amount to 50. The opacity becomes slightly to 60. Okay, this is the result of the overlap of the 5 steps arranged at layers from bottom to top. Obviously with the lens flare in add mode. Insert the audio file and proceed with the final rendering. This is the result of the Mission Impossible 4 project. Very cool. I advise you to apply this technique only on large videos, to appreciate all small details. Okay, I remind you the next appointment for the tutorial on the movie title Conan. Another incredible animation. I hope this tutorial has been to your liking. By Antonio Seri from crrntn.com. Cheers.